and he fails to get Dave Parker at second base, so the Oakland A's take.
I'll tell you what, we're having an
Earthquakes can't be predicted. What we would like to do, ideally, is give people a usefully narrow window in time and space and magnitude that a significant earthquake is going to happen.
The major earthquake, or the first major earthquake along the New Madrid Fault, occurred in December of 1811. It was followed by several notable aftershocks. The first major quake, which occurred, as I said, on December 16th, 1811, estimates now suggest that, obviously they did not have the Richter scale then, but modern estimates suggest that it was an 8.4 quake.
Well, earthquake predictions, unsuccessful earthquake predictions, are pretty common. They've been going on more or less forever. In the 1980s, we had a famous unsuccessful prediction by the Geological Survey. There were faculty member at UCLA was routinely making unsuccessful earthquake predictions. So my first reaction, to be honest, is I thought of Charles Richter's famous comment that only fools and charlatans predict earthquakes.
One thing to say is that the fact that we can't predict earthquakes doesn't stop people from trying. There's all sorts of predictions out there from all sorts of directions. And he said people were really scared, that they really thought that this was serious, a big earthquake was going to happen. Kids stayed home from school, the whole 9 yards. So it did have an impact, clearly locally.
Well, I would characterize it as a mass hysteria, and to just define that term a little bit. Sociologists talk about panics and mass hysteria. Panics are things that happen in crowd situations, like a nightclub or a stadium or something of that nature, where everybody's together in one place. Mass hysteria is something that happens when people are dispersed, something that wasn't real. Some school districts, for example, especially in southeast Missouri, closed because there were so many parents keeping their kids home from school on the days that the earthquake was predicted, that they would have had perhaps 50% or lower attendance, and they wouldn't get their funding from the state, so they just closed as one example of that, which would suggest that people were pretty concerned about it.
We, first in the natural hazards business, we should be very careful not to engage in these sort of apocalyptic statements. They really discredit the science. There was an incident where the National Weather Service said, with a hurricane coming up toward Galveston Island, anyone that stayed on the island faced certain death. Now, large numbers of people stayed, which they probably should not have, and almost none of them were killed.
One of the things I realized writing my prediction book is that scientists have a vanishingly fine line to walk with statements about earthquakes, that we want people to take earthquake hazards seriously. It's hard to get people's attention with a lot of immediate demands always in their life. And so it's a fine line between making measured statements that will get ignored, and then you start to make the statements more alarmist.
You have to look in a calm, rational way and decide how to allocate that. Given that the future is uncertain, if we knew what the world was going to do, then we could easily make these decisions. We don't. So we have to try to make our best decisions as to how to allocate resources given these uncertainties.